Broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web, you're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR, HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
And welcome to Autism with Dr. Andy on HealthyLife.net radio. Autism with Dr. Andy is brought to you by AAPC, formerly known as the Autism and Asperger Publishing Company.
Hi, folks. This is Autism with Dr. Andy, and today's guest is Dr. Jacqueline Marquette. And Dr. Marquette is an author, speaker, researcher, counselor, and I know, and I'm going to call her Jackie because Dr. Marquette and I are friends, and she's a very interesting lady with some wonderful information for all those folks out there who are interested in learning something new and interesting about autism. So welcome, Jackie.
Thank you. I appreciate being able to be on the show.
Sure, we love having you. And this is Dr. Marquette's second time on our show, and the first time when we spoke, I knew that we wouldn't have time to go over everything that she could enlighten us on, so that's why she's back. So, Jackie, tell our listeners who you are and how you came to be the person that you are today, a well-known author and researcher, and also the mother of a wonderful, he's kind of a, can't even say he's a young man now, he's 35. Of a man who is on the spectrum, your son, and also a nationally recognized artist, Trent. So tell us about yourself, Jackie.
Well, let me just start with Trent because I feel that experiential knowledge, that paves the path for me in my work. I do have an autistic son. We didn't find out. He significantly delayed, has a disability in his verbal expressive communication. He uses, a laptop and iPad to communicate, but he does have verbal language. It's just limited. But when he left high school, it was a real tumultuous 2 years. And we worked really hard to find, outlets for him, and we found out that painting was one. And we used it just for pure leisure for him, but then he started producing some really interesting pieces. Well, after about a year of doing that, we, looked into art shows and art fairs and things like that. Well, over the last 11 years, Trent has won some international awards. He won the United Nations Award, and he had his art put on a stamp last year, and it was 1 million was sold around the world. And we were really proud of him. We went to New York City, and that's actually, out of that is how I met you, Andy. And then he's won one through the International Naturally Autistic ANCA organization this year, and he's chosen the visual artists around the globe, so out of 17 countries. And we just got back from Canada from those award ceremonies, and just really proud of him, and he enjoyed it. And actually his career is taking off. He's getting offers, to do other things. So let me just say this. It sounds like, wham, bam, we had a wonderful, we just got here so easily. And what I do know that I know exactly what parents go through because it hasn't always been easy. It's been a huge struggle. And I haven't always known what to do. And my background was in special education. And throughout the years, I wanted to study how do people with significant disabilities live a full life in the community. I didn't want to read about all the problems and all that was out there because they're just so available. But what isn't known is the insight in how do people live. So I took that as my path, and I learned from my personal experiences with Trent. And within the last 10 years, I developed a model called the capability approach. in the last 5 years, I've worked with over 75 different families and their young adults with autism, and I have learned even more, what these individual strengths are. They are just so amazing. There's so many talents out there, and we just need to dig a little deeper, open our eyes a little bit more, and come up with the resources and the design to help them live their life doing it and doing their gift. And I guarantee you everyone has a gift and a talent that can be used in our world, and that's what my work is about.
Wow. That's as a mom, you must be so proud of a guy whose artwork is shown on a stamp, which is something I've never heard of before, and also that they sold 1 million stamps. Wow.
It is remarkable.
It certainly is. And Jackie, as you began speaking, and I'm listening carefully, I was thinking way back when Trent was in high school, did he at that time show this great promise in art, or was it before that, or when did you recognize it?
He did not. If he did have it, we didn't see it. I mean, nobody noticed anything. The only thing that I knew that I could recall is that his teachers said that he liked working with his hands, and he was integrated into an art class. Back then inclusion was, it was a best practice, but, more integration is going on now these days, I think.
Wow.
But he was integrated into an art class, so I did know that was something that really held his interest, but I did not know until he was 23 when we were looking for, activities to fill his day that he would enjoy and he would find meaning in them.
Wow. Jackie, a lot of your work led to your creating the capability approach model. And that's how you and I, when we met in New York at the McCartan Institute cocktail party, which was a wonderful event where Trent got to show a lot of his work and where I got to meet him. Jackie, what brought you to the point where you put it down in writing, the capability approach? What brought you to that, and how has it gone since you've developed this model?
Okay, well, my dissertation research, I came up with a checklist that I saw that was important life skills that I actually saw in my everyday living with Trent in order for him to live independently. And when I say independently, for 13 years he's had his own house, and we have people, working with him or living there. And so these were key things that I saw. And then as I started, after I graduated, I started providing this service in private practice to people who wanted more insight and direction with what to do during transition. So I got a contract through the vocational rehabilitation in Kentucky, and they would refer me clients. So I was able to move from my own personal experience to work professionally with other families and see what their needs are. And there are I found that there are 27 different vocational skills that relate to what you call soft skills. And these soft skills are really important, and they usually, if they're not supported or they're not recognized when you try to find someone a job or try to find an outlet in the community, they become challenges, especially the people with autism. And that's my, I wanted to find out what their strengths are, and I wanted to find out what their challenges are, so that when they do enter a new setting, they're covered with their challenges, and there's more of a chance to have, success, or at least participate. Whether it be, anything. It could be a leisure. It could be attending a wedding, of, your brother who's getting married, or it could be, a job. So that's that's how it all unfolded.
Well, Jackie, and let me make sure I understand this correctly. So the capability approach model, that reviews 27 different vocational skills. Is that correct?
Yes, and these specific, there are 35 total, but there are 27 out of the 35 that are directly linked to what you would call a soft skill. And those are really emotional. They affect your emotions in order to do them. And, let me just give you an example. Or like under occupational, one skill evaluates task completion. I find that that's a huge skill. That's one that whether you're a genius going off to college or you have a significant disability is actually in the 20s, it's very difficult for most of the people that I work with that have autism to determine when are they through with a task. And the task, like I said, could be writing an essay for a college course, or it could be when you know that you're completed doing your household chores, or raking the lawn. There's a criteria set out in the goal that you want to attain. That's a skill that can really make you fall down and you lose your job, or you don't pass the course. That's one example of one.
Yeah. Jackie, before I forget, and I think this is such an important thing, would you give the listeners your website? Because there are folks out there who are going to want to contact you, and I think it's important that we do that. So would you tell the folks how they can get in touch with you?
Absolutely. My website is the name of my first book, Independence Bound. There are no spaces. IndependenceBound.com, and it's INDEPENDENCEBOUNG.com.
Okay. That's great. And I'm sure we're going to have folks calling you. And I notice also you wrote another book, aside from Independence Bound. You wrote Becoming Remarkably Able. And who publishes these books?
Okay. My first book, I was so anxious to write out our story and our transition, modern transition, that it was self-published.
Okay.
And it can still be purchased through me and my website. The second book, Becoming Remarkably Able, was published by AAPC, which is Autism Asperger's Publishing Company.
Okay.
And that's actually a list of activities fun activities to discover, what your strengths are, how you, make new friends, just moving from a place of being stuck to, the community. There's a focus on, there's two chapters. One that for folks that have greater needs for support and those who are more high functioning, that need less support. So I walk them through and I give them examples of what they could try. And then there's a special section in there just for parents. And I deal with the real aspect of fear of letting your young adult go, fear of, stepping out and trying new things. The transition period is a time that the entire family changes, not just the young adult. It does impact everyone in the family. And you just have to, face it and redesign a new life that is workable for everyone, where everyone grows. So I learned a lot through that process, and I'm one of these people that likes to write about how I feel so I can move forward with my life. And I've had a lot of good teachers in my life, a lot of self-help books that helped me. And that's what I wanted to pass on to people in that book.
Yeah. Jackie, now, just for our listeners and also myself, now, Becoming Remarkably Able, is that published by AAPC?
Yes.
Okay. Because I need to note, might as well do it right now, that folks, if you're interested in getting Becoming Remarkably Able, you can contact AAPC, that's formerly the Autism and Asperger's Publishing Company, and as part of our promotional code, if you mention the word Andy, name Andy, they'll give you a 10% discount. So it's kind of nice to know, Jackie, that they'll get 10% off just by having listened to this program. So what I'd like to do next, for our listeners out there, and I know many people are interested in how we get our youngsters on the spectrum into gainful employment and something that they enjoy doing. Would you walk me through the capability approach model? And let me explain what I mean. If some parents brought their child to you and that young man or woman was, say, 16 or 17, what would you do with this capability approach model? Tell me how it starts and the middle and the end and so forth.
Sure, I would be happy to. I usually get a referral, and then I have a basic information sheet that I send out, either email or through the mail, and I ask them to give me some basic data information, what their diagnosis is, some hospitalization, what are their challenges, and most importantly, I want to know what is their highest vision for their young adult. And if it's a person with Asperger's, and I've done this with people that have Asperger's, that high functioning, they fill it out and they tell me these answers. And then I have a meeting with them. We set up a time where I can interview them. And what I do is I find out what their strengths are. I have what I call an ASD strength scale that I also developed, and all of the strengths were noticed. Were pinpointed from my private practice work across the board, and I just listed as a strength. And because, let me just say this about strengths. I was talking with a special ed director in one of our counties in Kentucky, and she told me that they wanted to do a portfolio project for their seniors with autism, and it was to talk about your strengths. And she said she was amazed. She and the teachers could not get them to note one strength that they had. And then I read Daniel Goleman's books, and he said it's very difficult for any one of us to know our own strengths. We look for others to tell us where our strengths are. So by listing, now I think I have about 56 strengths listed. People can go down the list and make notes, if they've seen their young adults do this strength or have it, or the young adult themselves can, give feedback. So I get a lot of information about their strengths right up front and their interests and what their aspirations are and what their goals are. And then all right, go ahead.
Well, Jackie, as you're talking, you hit on a point that I think is fascinating for I think our listeners and for me, and what it is that many of us don't really know what our strengths are. If you ask the average person, I guess we could come up with something, but I think we do rely on others to say, you're really good at this or you're really good at that, and I think a lot of times we may take for granted things that we're good at and don't really realize that it is a strength or a gift. So that itself is a very poignant observation, and I could see how it would be even more difficult for folks on the spectrum to be able to introspect and say, yeah, this is my strength and ability and so forth. So that already is fascinating. And Jackie, I want to go to the next part that I also found enlightening, that you identified 56 strengths in that folks can have on the spectrum. And I'm fascinated by that. Would you be kind enough to to talk about those strengths, what some of them are, and how you identify them?
Sure. Okay. Well, all right. With these strengths, I have a unique way of looking at things. Sometimes what is not a strength in our, quote, like school system or in socialization comes out as a challenge. But if you use it in the right way, it's a strength. Like, for instance, has literal understanding. If we know that a person has literal understanding, we know how to, interact and socialize with that person. But in ways where he's in settings that are unpredictable, that comes across as a challenge. But so that's one of them. Has unique personality traits. I can talk more about these.
Well,
all
Jackie,
of them.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have to take a short commercial break.
Okay.
But when we come back, I'd like to go over the strengths and the challenges and hear more about it. So, folks, we're listening to Dr. Jacqueline Marquette, author, researcher, mother of an award-winning artist on the spectrum, and we will be right back.
Are you a parent of a child on the autism spectrum? Maybe you lead a classroom that includes students with autism, or perhaps you have a friend with ASD and would just like to know more. At aapcpublishing.com, you'll find books that will help your child cope with stress and those high anxiety moments, teaching models that help you be more effective in the classroom, and fun games and activities that teach children the necessary social skills to build stronger relationships. aapcpublishing.com, AAPC, formerly known as the Autism and Asperger Publishing Company, is the best resource for practical solutions to ASD. If you're looking to learn more about sensory issues, applied behavior analysis, or just how to prepare your child for high school or college, visit aapcpublishing.com. Mention the promotional code ANDY, and customers will receive a 10% discount at aapcpublishing.com now.
When you're looking for bedding, department store prices can shock you. Well, be shocked no more. Sell steak cheap, not cheap state. That's the motto of Anna's Linens. Although they don't sell steak, they do sell the best bedding, bath, and home decor items. They strive to provide their merchandise at extreme value to their customers, and they do it. Great everyday prices on everything and military discounts. Plus, if you visit them online, they have clearance items and internet specials. Visit them online now at HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
Stuff. Where can I contain all of my stuff? How about this? The Container Store, the original storage and organization store. And I found their link on the HealthyLife.net advertiser page. They have containers for everything, including the kitchen, the bathroom, trash and recycling, traveling, spring cleaning, and dorm rooms. Just about everything you can think of to contain your stuff. The Container Store, right on the HealthyLife.net advertiser page.
Vistaprint. I'm sure you've heard the name. Over 17 million small businesses and consumers have used Vistaprint for printed products, ranging from business cards and brochures to invitations and thank you cards. Why? Because Vistaprint has the lowest price guarantee, and you can design your products with templates or upload your design. And they have free products. 3-day rush service, and satisfaction is always guaranteed. Try Vistaprint. Just go to the HealthyLife.net advertiser page and click on the Vistaprint logo.
Whether you're taking a short trip or traveling across the world, Magellans.com is the world's most trusted source for travel, and they guarantee 100% satisfaction. They have everything you need to make travel just a bit more pleasurable. Who doesn't like that? They have travel alarms, clothing, the best luggage, wallets, everything you need except the ticket. Visit the advertiser page on HealthyLife.net and click on Magellans now. You will not only see their travel products, but get a free catalog and read articles with tips on how to make your travel easier. Visit the advertiser page and click on Magellans now.
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
Hi, folks. This is Autism with Dr. Andy, and today's guest is Dr. Jacqueline Marquette, who is the author of Becoming Remarkably Able and also the Independence Bound. She also created the Capability Approach model, and which relates to helping folks on the spectrum with their vocation, life goals, and emotional well living. So, Jackie, welcome back.
Thank you.
Jackie, where we left off, we were talking about strengths and challenges that you've identified with folks on the spectrum, so maybe we could go back and continue on with that.
Okay. Yes, to do with the strengths, some of them that I want to point out is one can be very cooperative when expectations are clear and understood. That's a very important one because we begin to understand, how are we preparing, the situation for them or their work environment. One thinks in a visual way. If we know that they're really strong in this, that we can, provide them a diagram or a chart so that they understand the task or they understand their day, what's going to happen. Can be dependent upon maintaining schedules and being on time. A lot of my folks are very good at that. They're able to take the bus, the transportation around town and show up for their appointments on time. Is honest, even to a fault. That's one of those that can be, a challenge if they're in an environment that people do not understand their needs and, take them the wrong way. But being honest is really a good strength to have in our world today.
Jackie,
go ahead.
If I may, you mentioned something just before about they think visually. And I know that obviously you are very well aware of what that means, but a lot of the folks out there don't. So when you say they think visually, would you explain that a little bit?
Sure. Well, my son falls in this category, so it's easier to talk about him first. Obviously he thinks visually. He's an artist and he's a painter. So he sees, I'm sure you can explain it to me, but he sees colors in a very unique way and patterns. But in the way to help him function, in maybe even a challenging or stressful event, if I presented to him in a visual way, like a chart or a diagram, what's going to happen in order, so that he will feel comfortable and it won't be, he can predict more about this uneasy environment that he's going into. And let me just give you an example, the airplane. He had never been on an airplane ride, and going to Canada, that we had several hours on one. And I wanted to prepare him for that. And one way that I did that is, thank you for YouTube now these days, there were lots of YouTube videos from the seat, walking into an airplane, what it looks like, sitting down, and the perspective of taking off on a plane, looking out the window at the clouds, and then the perspective of landing. And you could actually feel it, as you watch the video. So all of that prepared him. Even going to TSA, I was really nervous about their harsh and quick and fast-paced, demands. And I knew that I needed people to understand that he needed a slower pace and to allow me to communicate to him. He watched videos on TSA, on YouTube. And then I even went out to our airport and met the supervisor of our TSA and asked if he could have some special assistance. And he arranged the day that we were going to be there. He prepared his whole team. And they were also very considerate and nice. And they even asked me if they could touch his shoulder because it didn't come clear through the machine. So, those are visual things with charts. It did take a long time, and it was a lot of preparation, but something as huge as flying in an airplane across the country and into another country, you just can't go backwards, and you can't just, you have to keep going. And I wanted him to have the best experience possible.
Jackie, I can see, and what I'm learning from you, and what I see is that a mom who thinks through everything, or as many things as you can, because for those folks out there who have children on the spectrum, I love the idea of you going to the airport and speaking to the supervisor and preparing them and saying, this is how my son is, and this is what you might anticipate, and this is what we should do. Because the flip side of that is to show up at the airport without preparing a young person who's on the spectrum. And then, of course, what happens is that they could have a meltdown, and it could be an absolute horror story.
Absolutely.
And completely disrupt activities and require who knows what, police attention, medical attention, all kinds of things that you short-circuit by thinking it through. And, I really commend you for this, because you've not done just such a wonderful job for Trent, but I can see you helping people all around the country, all around the world, by your capability project, by your books, and probably most of all by your great example. You're a living example of how you work through this every day, and I think that serves as a wonderful model for all the people who are listening out there. So, Jackie, tell me, I'm just interested in the trip. How did Trent respond to all these new experiences, especially going up in the air and looking down at the ground and the noise in the plane? And I'm fascinated by that. Tell me about it.
Well, he did respond very well. There were no meltdowns, at least. There were no, his pace was slow. I asked that he board first, because, like with small children and babies or people with physical disabilities. So by going onto the airplane first, he was able, I told him our seat number. He was able to look for the number and choose his seat. And at first, when he first sat down the very first plane ride, he was a little agitated because it was so small. And I told him it would be okay. And he kept repeating words back to me. It's okay. And I said, yes, it's definitely okay. So whenever he repeats words back to me, he's looking for assurance. And I did also let him know that, there will be times that we will wait in long, long lines. And there will be nothing we can do about it. We will just have to wait. And that's why you have your iPad, and that's why you have your music and your videos, your movies to watch. So, I've, said that over and over, and he did use that. He did actually, it's almost like he found enjoyment, like a roller coaster ride, that you're really excited, but you're fearful too. He had that look on his body language when the plane was taking off, and he didn't want to talk, and he didn't want to hold anything, because I was trying to see if he wanted that. If he wanted to be left alone, he wanted to have that full experience in, taking off. And he would say, in the sky, in the sky. And yes, I said, yes, we're in the sky now. And, there's a certain level when the airplane reaches certain altitudes that it kind of feels leveled off, and, you're fine. And that's when he came down off of his anxiety. But other than just a mild anxiety, he did very well. He did very well in customs, waiting in long lines. And I just reminded him, remember, we said there would be long lines. And then I always told him what the next thing that he would like to do, that will be next. Like if it was getting, eating dinner, that's what's coming next. So he had something to look forward to.
Wow, this is terrific. I feel like you're walking me through an instructional manual, a to-do manual on how to work with folks on the spectrum and through the airplane experience. Jackie, we have to take another short break. Once again, folks, if you'd like to get any of Jackie's books, you may do so through AAPC. That used to be the Autism and Asperger's Publishing Company. And she has written Becoming Remarkably Able, which you might be interested in, as well as Independence Bound. Mention the promotional code Andy, and you'll get a 10% discount. We will be right back.
you a parent of a child on the autism spectrum? Maybe you lead a classroom that includes students with autism, or perhaps you have a friend with ASD and would just like to know more. At aapcpublishing.com, you'll find books that will help your child cope with stress and those high anxiety moments, teaching models that help you be more effective in the classroom, and fun games and activities that teach children the necessary social skills to build stronger relationships. aapcpublishing.com, AAPC, formerly known as the Autism and Asperger Publishing Company, is the best resource for practical solutions to ASD. If you're looking to learn more about sensory issues, applied behavior analysis, or just how to prepare your child for high school or college, visit aapcpublishing.com. Mention the promotional code ANDY, and customers will receive a 10% discount at aapcpublishing.com now.
Fasten your seatbelt as Dr. Andy McCabe's new book, The Gifted One, takes you on the ride of your life. A positive, fulfilling life, that is, if you accept the challenge. You'll fulfill your dreams as The Gifted One shows you you can have a successful, productive, and happy life. Now, here's your chance to accept the challenge. Get your copy of The Gifted One today at Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com, Kindle, and Nook, or visit AndyCityBear.com. You'll be in for the greatest ride of your life. The Gifted One by Dr. Andy McCabe.
In 1972, Sur La Table opened in Seattle, selling hard-to-find kitchen items, and now they have 55 stores nationwide, offering kitchen tools from around the world to prepare any cuisine. Sur La Table has a full range of houseware and kitchen products, even books and food. Visit a Sur La Table store, or better yet, for faster service, go to the HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on Sur La Table. With the best products, gift cards, and sale items, you can be on your way to being a first-class cook right now.
Where positive people and radio unite. HealthyLife.net.
Hi, folks. This is Autism with Dr. Andy, and today's guest, Dr. Jacqueline Marquette, is an author, researcher, nationally recognized speaker in the field of autism, and the proud mom of a young man on the spectrum who has done remarkable things with his art. So welcome back, Jackie.
Thank you.
Jackie, where we started before and then kind of lost it, you were walking me through the capability approach model, and I'd like to pick up kind of where we left off, because I find this so fascinating. So you can jump in wherever you want in terms of taking us through what a parent and student or child would experience as they progress through your model.
Okay, let me just say, I think I forgot to mention, I do want to know what their goals are and their vision. So as I'm asking them to identify strengths through this strength scale, I'm going to use that later to help put into the action plan how they can reach their goals. And I just wanted to give you maybe 3 other strengths that I've noticed. One is interested in citizenship. We have a lot of our folks that are really interested in the affairs of our country, and they watch a lot of the John Daly Show and maybe MSNBC and some other programs. So that's important. Has zest and passion or enthusiasm. So many of our folks are, others might say, well, they're just too focused on, a certain activity. Well, sometimes that activity can be transferred to another area and can be used as a self-employment job or a job. So these are things that are very important to me in determining, how they can reach their goals. And then after I go through the strength scale, I do the capability and independence scale. And I have 7 areas of living, and I'll just go through and give you one area and pick one item because we don't have time to do it all. General functioning life skills. One is does daily errands, like going to the bank, to the grocery store, and things like that. And you might think that, well, everybody does that. Well, no, not really, because I think some of my clients who are even high functioning are so fearful and are in post-traumatic stress because of the years in school when they were picked on and bullied, that when leaving high school, they feel like they just need to, recover from that. But then they do at the point that they fear going out. So that's a big one. Under cognitive intellectual, thinks about and solves problems. That would be one that would be, on the job too. But, you're using your intellect. And there are different, everyone thinks and solves problems at their own level. And where they fall down, they might be able to do a mathematical problem, but if they're thinking through and solving a problem with something that has an emotional tie to it, getting the car fixed or even, trying to figure out what leisure activity to go into. The fear of facing people and having social rejection or social anxiety, interferes with that. And so I would want to know, if any of these, how well they are able to do this on their own and in order to determine what supports they might need. The other one is community life, social domain. And these two are the biggest. These almost affect every client that I have, and that's accommodate to new situations, change, or challenging events, like the one that my son had on the airplane, although it ended up not being one, and adjust or adapt to unfamiliar people. These two they jump out almost every time that I do this report with a client. And what I want to know is, how well they're able to accommodate to new settings, like, it could even be out in the community to an event, or it could be, we need to be thinking about how is he going to accommodate to this environment, what he's going to work, or, we're trying to get him a job. And how will he or she adapt to his coworkers around him? What supports does he need or she need? Or how do we help them understand, his best way of working? These are critical. Participates in the community life that goes to movies or sports or festivals or going to church. A lot of my folks, that dropped off a lot after high school because they don't have the social connections to do these things. And if they do them, they go with a family member, so that, these are important. Shops and decides what to buy. Some of my folks have a difficult time determining. They just don't want to make a decision. And one mom told me it took her son 3 months to figure out. I can't remember now what it was. He was interested in drawing and art and purchasing art materials, and he wanted a special art desk. It took him 3 months to finally make that decision. The next one is occupational domain. Accepts redirection or correction by a coworker or supervisor. Now, even though you're not on the job, there are ways that we can test this. So I still ask people, parents to tell me, how well does the individual accept correction. And this really is impactful. I just met a young woman in her 40s in Canada. She has Asperger's. And when I did a presentation and did a workshop for them up there at the convention. And when she heard this, she told me later, she goes, I just can't believe you really got to me, because in her job, she's doing very well and she wants to move up and they won't let her. And they say, because you're very defensive, you won't take any suggestions. And she said, I'm realizing I don't know how to do that. So, this, she wants to hear more about the model and how it can help her. I've already talked. Go ahead.
This is great stuff, and I'd like to take a course with you, Jackie, because you're teaching me so many things, and I have some questions I'd like to go back and address, because I'm sure some of our listeners may be interested in this as well. Jackie, you mentioned sometimes it's hard for folks on the spectrum to have goals or to recognize goals, and then you said that you help them to define goals. And could you give me some information on how you go about that?
Okay. All right. They might say, like, for instance, I would like to be a filmmaker. And I have a process that I can explain to you about, how they may not be able, that might be a long-term goal, but I try to break it down into how they can enjoy pursuing being a filmmaker and enjoy, like, using videos, taking videos of family events. That's one example, but I can go into more about that.
Jackie, I'd like to do that right after our commercial break. And, folks, again, you're listening to Jackie Marquette, and Jackie is the author of Becoming Remarkably Able, available through AAPC, and mention the promotional code Andy. You'll receive a 10% discount, and we'll be right back.
Fasten your seatbelt as Dr. Andy McCabe's new book, The Gifted One, takes you on the ride of your life. A positive, fulfilling life, that is, if you accept the challenge. You'll fulfill your dreams as The Gifted One shows you can have a successful, productive, and happy life. Now, here's your chance to accept the challenge. Get your copy of The Gifted One today at Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com, Kindle, and Nook, or visit AndyCityBear.com. You'll be in for the greatest ride of your life. The Gifted One by Dr. Andy McCabe.
Psychic ability. We all have it. It's time to understand. And now you can. With many faces of psychic ability, this entertaining and informative DVD gives you history, facts, and explains the 17 distinct and separate psychic abilities, with personal stories by world-renowned and respected psychic Linda McKenzie. Order it today. Call 800-555-5453 or visit lindamckenzie.net. Call now, 800-555-5453.
In 1972, Sur La Table opened in Seattle, selling hard-to-find kitchen items, and now they have 55 stores nationwide, offering kitchen tools from around the world to prepare any cuisine. Sur La Table has a full range of houseware and kitchen products, even books and food. Visit a Sur La Table store, or better yet, for faster service, go to the HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on Sur La Table. With the best products, gift cards, and sale items, you can be on your way to being a first-class cook right now.
Vistaprint. I'm sure you've heard the name. Over 17 million small businesses and consumers have used Vistaprint for printed products, ranging from business cards and brochures to invitations and thank you cards. Why? Because Vistaprint has the lowest price guarantee, and you can design your products with templates or upload your design. And they have free products. 3-day rush service, and satisfaction is always guaranteed. Try Vistaprint. Just go to the HealthyLife.net advertiser page and click on the Vistaprint logo.
Radio your way. HealthyLife.net.
Hi, folks. This is Autism with Dr. Andy. Today's guest, Dr. Jacqueline Marquette, is an author, researcher, speaker, and the mom of an internationally recognized artist who has done some wonderful work, and one of his paintings is commemorated in a stamp that has sold over 1 million copies. Welcome back, Jackie.
Thank you.
Okay, where we left off, we were talking about identifying goals for folks on the spectrum, and so let's continue on with that.
Okay, well, sometimes I get, I just want to have a job that I'm capable of doing. And then sometimes I want to go to college and I want to study filmmaking, something more specific. So I go through the process of determining their strengths and their interests, and then I determine their challenges with the capability and independence skill. And as because they give me feedback and they rate how well they think they can do in these areas. And then I look at all of the data and information, and I have a unique way of seeing like some things that match, and like for instance the guy that I just did this summer on filmmaking. You know, it may be difficult for him. It's very hard for anyone to get into being a filmmaker, but I don't want to say that he won't ever do it because he's very bright. So, you know, the idea was to have him start somewhere, start taking a community class, college course, where he could get adjusted into that environment, and use his video camera that his mom promised that she would get him, and start taking videos of the family events, or do his own little documentary, post it on YouTube, and just start small. Start in those areas, because part of reaching a goal is enjoying the journey while you're on the way. And I think I hooked him up with Kentucky Educational Television, because they just did a documentary on Trent and his art making, and they have filmmakers there. Maybe he could be like an intern or an assistant to them. So those are the things that I do. I kind of break it down into small steps that they can at least start the process to see if this is a workable goal for them.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. So what you're doing is first assessing interests and strengths, and then from that defining potential goals. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a very intelligent way to do it. And one of the things that I speak about in my classes, and I think that you're living proof of, is that you, in order to motivate folks, you have to find out what they're interested in, and then make that kind of the direction or the goal that your work is moving toward, and then they want to do it. So trying to get people to do something that they're not interested in obviously doesn't work with folks on and off the spectrum. So, Jackie, as we're progressing, and we don't have a whole lot of time left, I'd like you, because you have such wonderful experience with it, as the mom of a young man on the spectrum, tell us some things that you've learned that are kind of the pearls of wisdom that you wish other people knew, that you've learned through experience and hard work.
Well, I think my son and the people that I got to know in my private practice, because I really feel like I know a lot about them after I get this information, is that everybody wants to feel valued. They want to feel that they have purpose. And I found out that even just a simple thing is telling one of my clients, the people around him, his family, saw that he expressed kindness everywhere he goes. Well, he didn't know until we talked about that as a strength. He said, well, I didn't know that was a strength, and I didn't know that would be helpful to having or keeping a job. So, I think that what we miss, our world is so based upon, earning course credit, earning your diploma. You're striving to do these things that are important in life, but sometimes we miss the basic things of, showing people that they do have value. And it may not fit like, one size fits all, but there is a way to create, your own world to meet, your interests and your strengths and, have a life. It does take stepping out of the box of this world and people saying, well, you can't do that, and how will that ever work, and that's just too much work. I hear that all the time. Well, that's just too much work. If it's too much work, isn't it too much work to see your son just sit there and wallow in his room and playing video games and not moving forward in life? To me, that's, I don't even know that. That would just be giving up, according to me. That's my belief. And I know people don't know how to do, it's very difficult to see and move forward. And, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, people will see this work as valuable. And thanks to you, I am going to be writing my third book. And I'm hoping that, you know, this will be user-friendly and, you know, practical for parents out there who are seeking options, you know, after school. And it's going to be an index of certain jobs and self-employment ideas. And it's going to be, you know, it's going to be a strategy or a process to show people how do you go through and look for these strengths and how can you use them. And how do I know my son's challenges? You know, and what support can we build around him or her that will make her be effective in pursuing leisure or getting a job? Those are some of the kinds of questions that I know that I want people to ask when they look at it and hopefully, you know, look into the book and start doing these things on their own. And I am interested in doing seminars and teaching, you know, professionals who work with people with Asperger's and autism. You know, how can we better understand, you know, from their perspective? So that's, you know, those, I guess those are pearls of wisdom. I don't know.
But Jackie, I'd like to just take a moment and tell you what I think your strength is, if I may. And what it is that I think you should be doing seminars all over because you motivate people. You make people realize that you've done it and they can do it. And it's so heartening to talk with somebody like you because what you do is you epitomize what needs to happen in order for folks on the spectrum to get the best benefits from education. And I really applaud you for that. You're just doing a wonderful job. And folks, one more time, we're running out of time, but again, you can get Jackie's books through AAPC, and that's Becoming Remarkably Able. Mention the promotional code Andy. You'll receive a 10% discount. And Jackie, I'd like to have you back again in a few months, especially after you complete the Marquette Index. Look forward to that, folks. And,
I would love to.
And thanks for being with us, Jackie.
Thank you.
Autism with Dr. Andy is brought to you by AAPC, formerly known as the Autism and Asperger Publishing Company.